Welcome to the Fit Woman Formula podcast, where we show women just like you how to reclaim your energy, rebuild your body, and step into you 2.0. I'm Coach Jonathan, founder and head coach of the Fit Woman Formula coaching program. This show is for women who are tired of starting over and ready to finally create results that last. Not just weight loss, but real confidence, a healthier relationship with food, a stronger mindset, and a lifestyle that finally lasts. You can watch full episodes on YouTube or listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you enjoy podcasts. And if you're ready to learn more about how we can help you unlock the energy and confidence of your 20s while dropping 2+ sizes in the next 12 weeks, visit fitwomanformula.com. All right, let's get into today's episode. When it comes to workouts, most women are either doing too much or they're doing a lot of things that don't actually lead to results. And it usually comes down to two main issues. The first is just too much variety in your workouts. You're bouncing around from workout to workout. You're doing different exercises every week, different classes, different programs, trying anything that promises to burn fat. And it feels like you're doing a lot, but there's no consistency in what you're actually training. And the second issue is there's no progressive overload. This is something that I would say probably 80% or so of women who are not getting the results they want on the workout and training side of the equation, putting the food aside, this is the likely issue right here. And it's one of the most important concepts when it comes to getting results from your workouts. This is just simply where you are adding more weight, more reps, or more sets over time. Because if you're not gradually forcing your body to get stronger, your body has no real reason to change. So let's talk about what actually works, okay? Well, what actually works is much simpler than most women think. You don't need endless variety. You don't need to be constantly switching things up. You need a simple structure that you can repeat. Now, for most women that we coach, this is what this looks like. It's based on a training program that is 3 times a week, not 5 or 6 days. And what we're having them do are full body training sessions. And this is exactly what it sounds like. A full body routine is where you're training all of the muscle groups in a single training session. So let me be clear about this. A lot of ladies out there think they need to be doing, and truthfully, you see a lot of training programs and influencers out there kind of talking you into this as well, thinking you need to be doing quads one day, and then your glutes one day, and then arms one day, and shoulders another day. This is one of the most inefficient ways to train because, again, you're just bouncing around. This way, when you're doing a full body routine, you are actually hitting all of your muscle groups at least twice a week. Super, super important. You need to be hitting every muscle group at least twice a week, especially those ones that you really want to hone in on. Like if you're wanting to focus in on the glutes a bit more and wanting to put a bit more training volume on the glutes, you need to be training the glutes at least twice a week. And the way that we structure these is very, very intentional. You're starting with your biggest muscles and your heaviest lifts first, okay? These are what we would call your big lifts. So like your squats, your Romanian deadlifts. Now here's an example of what this would look like. Again, if you're focused like many women are more on lower body and glutes, okay? You might start with something like a hip thrust and then move into like a dumbbell Romanian deadlift and then go into some type of lunge variation. Maybe a reverse lunge or a walking lunge, or maybe even a step up or Bulgarian split squat, something along those lines. Generally, you'd have, let's say, 3 maybe lower body exercises, and then you're going to go into the upper body. And again, you're going to start with the biggest muscles first, okay? So maybe you do a lat pull down, and then you do a dumbbell chest press. And then you could do 1 or 2 other exercises. Maybe you go into something like a tricep press down. That's a simple, super effective structure. And it's really interesting, and I feel vindicated because this is something that we've been pointing women that we coach towards for a long time, and we see the results that they're getting. There's been some new data and research that's come out lately just talking about how a full body routine is likely the most scientifically optimal way to get the best results in a training program and burn the most body fat at the same time. So it seems to be the most effective way to change your body composition. It's very good at getting rid of body fat. This is a really effective way to approach this. You're hitting your lower body, you're hitting your upper body, and you're doing it in a way that makes sense without overcomplicating things. And that's really the goal here. Now, I mentioned the big movements a moment ago. Inside our workouts, like that's really what we're focused on primarily. That's the number one thing that you need to be focused on. And again, it's things like squats, Romanian deadlifts, hip thrusts. For your upper body, it's dumbbell bench press, it's overhead press. These are the exercises that actually move the needle. And I'll tell you, this is where we're really empowering women to start lifting heavy. I got a message from one of our clients today, and this is someone in her 70s, and she mentioned that she was so excited because she said, my daughter said that my arms look smaller. And she just said, who would have thought that lifting heavier would equate to that? And yes, absolutely. That's exactly what it's all about. That's what happens. Lifting these little, tiny little weights like you do in, I'm just going to say it, some of these bar classes and group classes and things like that, it's not going to cut it, ladies. You need to be lifting heavier. It doesn't have to be extremely heavy all the time, but you need to be lifting heavier. And you also need to keep it simple. So instead of changing everything every week, who remembers Tybo? Billy Blanks and Tybo. Amazing, amazing marketing. They came up with this idea of muscle confusion. And I hate to break it to you, ladies, but muscle confusion is not a real thing. Your muscles don't need to be confused. What you need to be doing is repeating the same 3, maybe 4 workouts week after week. And you're going to run those for about 8 to 12 weeks. And you're going to do that over and over. I've had ladies say, you know, Jonathan, that sounds a little boring. You know what's boring, and you know what really sucks even more than that? Is doing a lot of shit that doesn't work for years and years. It's running yourself ragged, not getting any results. That sucks way more than getting really good and really strong and really efficient at a handful of exercises. We're mixing things up so that you don't hit any training plateaus, but the main reason we're mixing it up is so that mentally it still is keeping you interested. Because truthfully, the way that this should work is, and the way that we do things, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I've seen ladies go through longer periods where they're doing the same training program or something pretty close for about 6 months or so, because, you know, we try to get feedback from the ladies that we're coaching. Sometimes we'll say like, hey, with where you're at right now, do you feel like you could push this out a little bit longer? Could you go through this training program a little bit longer? It looks like you could keep bumping some of these lifts up. You can keep moving up in some of these weights. Are you good with that? Because from what we're seeing on the results side of things, like measurements, your weight, your clothes are fitting better, everything's moving in the right direction. And when that's happening, you don't want to be mixing things up just because. You don't need a lot of variety. The ladies that you see on Instagram that have your dream body, let's say, you're just like, bam, wow, that's what I want right there. I guarantee you they are doing very simple training programs. Very simple training programs. A lot of this stuff that you see these influencers do sometimes where it's maybe some kind of interesting looking variation of like a cable glute kickback or something along those lines. Some of that stuff can be kind of fun. And every now and then there's something that comes along that is pretty effective. And we might implement some of that stuff sometimes. But what works is the stuff that's been around for a while. And so when you run a training program repeatedly like this for an 8 to 12 week period, that's how you build strength. That's how you build confidence. That's how you know that you're doing the exercises properly, which we're going to talk more about in a moment. That's how you get your body to actually start changing. This is how you get results. Now, again, progressive overload, super, super important. I'm going to mention this again here because this is just something that so many ladies miss. It means you're gradually doing a little bit more over time. So let's give you a real world example here, okay? I mentioned Bulgarian split squats, which so many people hate, okay? But they're, again, just a great exercise for glutes and quads. They're an awesome leg exercise. There's a reason that we don't like them, and it's just because they hurt so good, okay? But let's say that you did 10 reps on each leg for 20 pounds. The next time you come back around to this, you would want to try to bump that up. If your gym has it, maybe you do 22.5 pounds, or maybe you bump it up a whole 5 pounds and do 25 pounds. And so now this time around, you're going to aim for 10 reps with 25 pounds or whatever you end up bumping it up to. So you are strategically and systematically bumping this up over time. So again, progressive overload means more weight or more sets or more reps. And when you can't do that, let me bring something up here. Let's say that you're doing something like a lateral raise. If you can't add any weight, and let's say you can't add any reps to those lateral raises, what you can do is focus on improving your form. And that's something you should always be thinking about. Now, why do most ladies miss this? They miss this, the training every muscle group twice a week, and the progressive overload, because they're constantly switching up workouts. There's nothing to track, nothing to improve, nothing to build on. So you end up working hard without seeing progress. Now I'm going to give some other examples here. And ladies, don't hate me, but I'm going to be the guy to be honest and direct with you about this stuff, because I hate when you come to me and you're just like, I'm working my butt off. You know, I'm going to an Orange Theory. I'm going to an F45. I'm going to a Barry's boot camp. I'm sweating my ass off. It feels like I'm working really hard. Maybe at first I was getting some results, and now I just don't even know if it feels worth it. And it's frustrating. That's what's missing. The boot camps, the F45s, the Orange Theories, look, something is better than nothing. And if that's what you're doing, and it's between doing that or nothing, great, okay? That's awesome. I'm not knocking that. But if you're working really hard and not getting the results, the reason is because there's no progressive overload. So here's how we do this inside the Fit Woman formula. Number one, this is all structured for you. This is one of the big advantages of having a coach. You are not figuring all this out yourself. You've been trying to do that long enough. So your workouts are customized based on your goals and your experience and your abilities and what you have access to. Some ladies are working out at home. Some ladies are going to the gym, but everything is laid out for you inside of our app, the Fit Woman Formula app. And you see exactly what exercises you need to do, how many sets, how many reps, how much rest time. And there are videos showing you exactly how to perform each movement. So when you walk into the gym, you know exactly what you need to be doing. This is another big gap in the training department for so many women, because let's be honest, you probably don't feel super confident when you're going into the gym. You're probably going into the gym and maybe you've kind of figured out a routine, or what we hear from a lot of ladies is maybe you got the free tour from one of the personal trainers and you did a couple free training sessions with them and they gave you some super cookie cutter thing and you did that a couple times and now that's just kind of what you do. And the rest of it is maybe you're trying out random Instagram workouts or random YouTube workouts and you're just kind of doing random stuff and hopping around. You need to know exactly what you're doing. And when you know exactly what you're doing, you are walking into that gym with a lot more confidence. Now, another thing that's missing here for so many women who are going to the gym on their own or who are maybe going in to do a group class or again, an Orange Theory or F45 or something along those lines, you're not tracking anything. We're showing you how to track your workouts. And again, one of the reasons, ladies, this is really important to us is because when you come and work with us, we know that unfortunately there's going to be a time if we've done our job well that we're no longer working together. And that sucks. That's a sad day when it happens. Okay. And we have ladies that we work with sometimes for 2, 3+ years. They stay with us a really long time. But when that happens, you need to be able to do this on your own. I see a lot of personal trainers and a lot of coaches, they kind of keep this stuff from you so that you stay reliant on them. Well, again, we're leading you towards U 2.0. U 2.0 can walk into the gym like a boss and lift some heavy shit and know exactly what she's doing and hit some personal records, some PRs, and walk out of there feeling like she killed it, knowing that she's moving in the right direction. And if information is being withheld from you and you don't know what you're doing, well then, guess what? You're not going to be becoming U 2.0. You are reliant on someone else. Okay, you can't be doing that. So you got to be tracking this stuff. You have to have an understanding of what's going on. And when you're tracking, you can actually see the progress over time. You can see the weights going up. You can see your reps improving. You can see your strength building. It's not a question. You can see the numbers and the data. That builds confidence because now you have proof that what you're doing is working. It's not about guessing anymore. And one of the biggest concerns that women have is their form, which you should. Now, a lot of you think that you need someone standing there next to you. And so this is why you go the personal training route, at least for a while. And I talked about this a little bit before, but I'm going to share it again briefly. I was a personal trainer for many years. That's how I got into online coaching. I think that to be a good online coach, you really need to have been a personal trainer for a while. You need that in-person experience. But here's the problem. There's a big gap in personal training. It's that you're not looking at nutrition. You're not looking at any of the other habits. All you're focused on is the workouts. And yes, what we're talking about here, being able to get the most out of your training is super important, but that's only a piece of it. But the reality is you don't need someone standing next to you in the gym. You don't need someone counting your reps for you, okay? Again, yes, you need to know what to do. You need direction, but you can't be completely reliant on someone else for this for the rest of your life. You need someone to empower you, and that's what we're doing. So when we get you started in your training program and we get you going through your workouts over the first couple weeks, we have you go through everything a couple times so you're pretty familiar with it. And of course, if you have any questions, we're answering those questions. But what we do is we send you a short list of exercises that we want to see. And all you do is you take this thing right here, okay? You prop up your phone up against a water bottle or up against a dumbbell, or if you want, you can have someone else film it, but it's not necessary. And you take a short little video of the exercises we want to see, and you send it over to your coach. And your coach walks you through immediately what to adjust. So this way you're never guessing. You're never stuck wondering if you're doing it right. And I'm going to say that this is even more efficient and effective than personal training because of the way the learning works. Let's think about it like this. When I was a personal trainer, occasionally I would take a video of someone. But what you're doing is you're filming the video and you're probably watching it back yourself before you send it over. So you're reviewing you doing the exercise, and then you're sending it over to your coach. And your coach is reviewing it, and you're talking about that video together. So you're getting a lot of different visual feedback that you are not getting even from a personal trainer who's saying, no, you need to do this different, or you need to move your back or your knees this way or whatever. That is limited feedback. This is a very broad spectrum of feedback that helps you to have a better understanding of what you need to be doing. So again, you don't need someone in the gym with you. We knocked this out of the park, okay? We knocked this out of the park. And what do we see? We see improvements over time, right along with the strength improving and everything else. The form gets better. Now, here's the big takeaway. You don't need more workout. You don't need more variety. You need a better structure. And you need a plan that you can actually stick with. And on the next episode, we're going to talk about something that a lot of women think is a problem. This might be you, your hormones, your cortisol, your age, right? You might be thinking, these are the things that are holding me back right now. And I'm going to help you to understand what's actually going on there, because this is one of the biggest things keeping women stuck right now. And that wraps up today's episode of the Fit Woman Formula podcast. I hope today's conversation helped you take one more step toward reclaiming your energy, rebuilding your body, and stepping into you 2.0. If you found this helpful, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future episodes. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I'd really appreciate it if you left a quick rating or review. It helps more women discover the show. Ready to unlock the energy and confidence of your 20s while dropping 2+ sizes in the next 12 weeks without restrictive diets, useless supplements, or living in the gym? Visit fitwomanformula.com to learn how we've helped hundreds of women just like you. I'll see you in the next episode.